Single Dad Janitor came quietly to his son's graduation, until a Navy captain saw his tattoo and cried. He stood alone behind the gymnasium wall, hidden in the shadows like a man afraid of being seen, even though today was supposed to be the proudest day of his life. The sunlight bounced off the silver balloons and the blue graduation banners, but Daniel Carter, 46, exhausted, dressed in a faded janitor's uniform, felt like he didn't belong under that bright sky. His hands trembled as he held the small envelope he'd been saving for months, a simple graduation card for his son, with two $20 bills inside. He had cleaned this school for 12 years, sweeping the halls while watching kids with bright futures race past him, but today he wasn't here to work. Today, he was here as a father. If only he believed he deserved to stand among the other parents. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of never giving up, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Daniel adjusted his cap low over his eyes and slipped quietly into the folding chair crowd long after everyone else had taken their seats. He didn't want to draw attention. His son, Ethan Carter, was graduating at the top of his class, receiving honors, scholarships, all the things Daniel once dreamed of before life swallowed him whole. 12 years ago, he lost his wife in a roadside accident, a drunk driver hitting their small family car on a stormy night that split his world into before and after. After that night, Daniel sold his tools, his truck, anything to pay the medical bills and keep Ethan fed. He worked every job he could find until he finally landed a custodial position at the school his son attended, mopping floors at sunrise and emptying trash cans long after sunset. He told himself it was temporary, that he would rise again, but days became years, and the weight of responsibility cemented his fate. The chairs around him filled with wealthy parents wearing suits, dresses, expensive watches, and perfumes that floated in the warm air. Daniel sat small among them, shoulders hunched, hoping no one would recognize him as the man who cleaned their offices or vacuumed the auditorium. But his heart swelled with pride when he saw Ethan walk across the field in his royal blue gown, tall, confident, smiling like the world finally made sense. That smile gave Daniel strength, reminding him of every night he slept only 4 hours, every morning he skipped breakfast so his son could eat, every dream he sacrificed. As the ceremony continued, Daniel noticed the man seated a few chairs away, a tall, broad-shouldered Navy captain in a crisp white uniform, decorated with medals that glimmered like frost under sunlight. Captain Jonathan Hale had come to speak as a guest of honor, sharing words of service, leadership, and sacrifice. His presence made some people sit a little straighter, shift with reverence. Daniel tried not to stare, but something about the man's posture, his steady breathing, made Daniel's chest tighten with memories he had long buried. While the graduates accepted their diplomas, the sun grew hotter, and Daniel wiped his forehead, his sleeve lifting just high enough to reveal the ink burned into his skin, a tattoo he had promised himself he would never show again. A faded trident with the letters SEAL Team 4 etched underneath, a symbol of a life he walked away from after tragedy crushed him beyond repair. He had once served the nation with honor, courage, and unwavering discipline, but after losing his wife, his mind broke in ways he didn't know how to repair. He received an honorable discharge on compassionate grounds, but the shame of being unable to continue, the grief that swallowed him whole, made him disappear from his old life entirely. He thought no one would notice. He thought his past was invisible. But fate had other plans. Captain Hale was scanning the audience between speeches when his eyes fell on Daniel's partially exposed forearm. For a moment, the captain froze, blinking slowly, as if he were seeing a ghost from a battlefield long past. His breath hitched in his throat, and his fingers trembled against the armrest. Hale couldn't look away. The tattoo, the placement, the faded edges, it was unmistakable. One man in the audience didn't match the rest. One man carried a mark only a brother in arms would recognize. After the ceremony, while families rushed to take photos and celebrate on the grassy field, Daniel stayed seated, waiting for the crowd to thin before trying to approach Ethan. He didn't want to embarrass his son by showing up in his janitor uniform when other parents wore designer suits. But before he could stand up, Captain Hale appeared in front of him, towering with authority yet softened by emotion. Daniel looked up, startled, unsure why a high-ranking officer would seek him out. But Hale didn't speak at first. Instead, he scanned Daniel's face with disbelief before his eyes filled with tears. This level of emotion from a man of his status shocked nearby onlookers, who paused, wondering what was happening. Hale finally whispered that he had served with Daniel years ago, that Daniel had once saved his life during a mission none of them thought they'd survive. Hale thought Daniel had died, or disappeared forever. To see him now, here, alone, in a janitor's uniform, hiding behind the crowd, broke him. Daniel felt exposed, caught between pride and shame. He didn't want his son to know about his past because the pain attached to it was too heavy. But Hale knelt beside him, telling him he was a hero, that he was one of the bravest men the Navy ever had, that the world owed him more than he knew. Daniel's throat tightened, and he looked away, swallowing tears that fought to escape. He whispered that he was no hero, that he couldn't even protect his wife, that he had failed in the one moment that mattered most. But Hale refused to let him drown in that guilt. Meanwhile, Ethan had been searching for his dad everywhere. When he saw the crowd forming around Daniel and recognized Captain Hale talking to him, he rushed over, confused at first, until Hale revealed the truth. Ethan's knees nearly buckled as he listened. All his life, he thought his father was just a quiet, hard-working janitor who never complained. But now he learned that his dad had served the nation, saved lives, endured battles Ethan could never comprehend. He saw his father in a new light, not as a tired man struggling to make ends meet, but as a warrior who sacrificed everything for love and duty. The moment Ethan wrapped his arms around Daniel and whispered how proud he was of him, Daniel finally broke. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with years of pain he'd held inside. The crowd watched silently, moved, some even wiping their own tears. Captain Hale placed a strong hand on Daniel's shoulder and announced that the Navy would honor him, that they would ensure he got the support he deserved, and that his service would never be forgotten. In that moment, the world that once seemed so heavy suddenly felt lighter, warmer, brighter. Before the final emotional shift of the story, if Daniel's journey, his sacrifice, and his quiet strength have touched your heart so far, make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Your engagement helps more people find these powerful stories. Daniel slowly stood up, feeling taller than he had in years, as if shedding layers of shame. Ethan grabbed his father's hand and walked proudly with him across the field, introducing him to classmates and teachers, no longer hiding who he was. The same halls Daniel once swept were now filled with voices praising him, thanking him, honoring him. Even the school principal approached with tears, apologizing for never truly seeing him. Captain Hale pulled Daniel aside and told him that a position was waiting for him, something far above janitorial work, should he ever wish to step back into service or take a respected civilian role. For the first time in over a decade, Daniel felt like he could breathe. He felt hope rising again, not because he needed medals or recognition, but because his son saw him, truly saw him, and loved him even more. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the football field, Daniel looked at Ethan, who was laughing with friends, his cap tilted, diploma in hand, future wide open. Daniel realized that everything he endured, the pain, the struggle, the loneliness, led him here, to this moment of quiet triumph. He wasn't just a janitor. He wasn't just a former SEAL. He was a father, a survivor, and a man rediscovering his worth. Just before we end, comment below, should Daniel accept the new opportunity offered to him, or continue living the peaceful life he built? Your thoughts matter, and if this emotional journey touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more real, raw, and uplifting stories to life, reminding the world that every quiet hero deserves to be seen.